What's up, family? This is your favorite cousin, Rich. And could polygyny be the answer for the black community? Again, polygyny. One man, multiple women, multiple wives, however you see it. Disclaimer, I'm not talking about carnality, exercising carnality, because you want to sleep with multiple women. I'm not talking about that. You can do that already. But I'm speaking to men who want to provide and protect. And I'm speaking to women who want to be a part of an ecosystem, who's not about, ownership, but building. This is who I'm talking to. I'm talking to builders. And I asked the question, is polygyny the answer? One man having multiple women. Because if we look, we have a single mother epidemic. And we say, who's going to take care of these kids? Who's going to provide? Who's going to protect? And the men who step up, they're not coming from a simp mentality, oh, I got to save the mom. No, we looking at it as a saving the community situation. Because boys, especially boys, who's growing up in single parent households have more chance of being incarcerated, which further perpetuates the downward cycle of our community. Girls who's growing up in these single parent households is still becoming more single parents, single mothers over and over and over, which is further, continuing this downward spiral that we have in the black community. So are we at a point now where it's imperative for, a man to take on more than one wife, more than one woman, more than one lady? Is it time for that? Because we sit back and we look at the numbers, there's more women than men off the bat. So somebody's going to be left out. Unless you're the type of person who go to church and, they always say God is going to provide, God will give you a man, da 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 da. How long have they been telling you that? But if you hop out of that delusion and you step into reality and you look at the numbers, you see it's not mathematically possible. It's not. So what? God is going to provide your husband by taking away somebody else's husband? Taking him away from somebody else to provide you one? Then you're going to poof somebody out of thin air? I'm just keeping it real. At a certain point, we got to keep it real. We look at other societies, other cultures, and why they do it. It's to ensure that there's provision and protection for everybody, all the women, or as many women as possible. Because if we keep it real, a lot of women don't like working. They don't want to be the sole provider. They want to fall into their women, their feminine role. They don't want to have to be forced to go to work every day and deal with life struggles like that. To be honest with you, I don't believe women were built for that. Just being completely honest with you, I don't think so. The stress and the demands that it takes every day to, provide and protect, I don't think they were meant for that. But, let, the media tell you, let society tell you now, you can do bad all by yourself. You don't need no man. But is that the truth? Even if we look at, the economics of it, this is a big one. If we look at the economics of it, at one point there was only needed to be one income. Now it's two incomes. And now two incomes is barely making it. What happens if you have three incomes or four incomes? And now you bring in multiple minds in order to create new businesses and have multiple hands on businesses to bring in more income and more longevity, more long-term wealth. What happens then? Like I said, this ain't about carnality. This ain't about, wanting to sleep with multiple women. You can do that now and not have to be responsible. Not have to provide protection and provision. And for women who saying, no, I don't like that, I don't, a lot of times you probably have dealt with a man who was dealing with more than one woman. Either you knew it or didn't want to know it. So what's the difference now? Now you're more conscious about it, you know? So now you can't lie to yourself? Or is it the competition aspect that you don't want to deal with multiple women, and now you have to bring your best to the table? And a lot of times how you set these things up, it won't be no competition if everybody's all hands on deck and have the same mindset and mentality and the same goals. If you want best for each other, you want best for the community, you want best for your ecosystem, you want best for your kids, you take ego up out of it. Like I said, a lot of women nowadays, they just want this is mine. I'm the only one who can have him. Quote unquote, this selfish mentality. And a lot of times it's just self-serving. She just want him because it's self-serving to her. Not because it's what's best. I'm just keeping it real. Like, can I keep it real? A lot of times if we look at relationships nowadays when women say, oh, I want to be his only one, she's not really giving him her all. She still keeps something on the side over here or over there. You know what I'm talking about. She's not dedicating everything that she has to him, but yet wants to have full control or ownership or be the only one in his life. I don't think that's fair. And if we see it naturally, men always have had wandering eyes or have always wanted to explore dealing with or have had the capacity to deal with more than one woman. In some cases or a lot of cases, yes, it's been out of carnality, yes. But it's still instinctual. So what happens if we take that energy and try to move it into something positive? Move it and change it and transmute it into something that's beneficial that'll help us move the ball forward. That's what I'm speaking on. Is poly the answer? Is polygyny the answer? Because it's time to rebuild. That one man, one wife, I don't think that's working. You need more hands on deck right now. For our community, we need more hands on deck. Because right now, the way I look at it, social media is raising your kids. Environments are raising your kids. School is raising your kids. And they pouring all this trash into your kids while you at work. Because you got to be a sole provider. So you think you raising your kids. You think you teaching your kids. You not. I said you think you are, but you're not. I don't got to tell you that there is a shortage of real men. So at what point are you going to be tired of dealing with pookies? What time are you going to be tired? At what point are you going to be tired of dealing with, men who's not really willing to commit? How many times are you willing to commit yourself to men who's not wanting to build? At what point? I'm just being honest. At what point are these things going to stop? Now, if you feel like it's not your thing, cool. This ain't no forcing thing. Do you, by all means. I'm just trying to open up the mind. I'm just trying to speak on things that we have shut down or we shun without having a full perspective of. We've been taught and we've been told that these things are bad, woo, woo. But is that really the case? Is that really true? I can't speak down on it. Why? Because I have firsthand experience. Again, I have firsthand experience. I come from a family that practiced this. And when I tell you there's little to no degeneracy in my family, this is why. Because it's an ecosystem. See, when you have an ecosystem as a family unit, nobody fails. You have one to pick up another. You might have 2 wives, 2 women, or whatever, or 3 wives, 3 women, and now they can be here to cancel each other. Now the emotional burden won't be so much on the man to be there emotionally, you know, and he can do his other thing while other women are there to emotionally comfort, one who might be going through something. Or the man might need a business partner, you know what I'm saying? So now one can come over here and help this or do that. You have multiple hands. Like I said, if you stuck in this just me, my, I want to be the only one concept syndrome, it's hard to grow. Especially if you're not giving your all. But when you have multiple people, multiple hands on deck, it's easy for you to reserve some for yourself. It's easy for you to do that without looking like the bad guy. Because you won't be forced to pour so much of yourself out because you're the only one. I hope y'all picking up what I'm putting down. But if you stuck in that whole romantic syndrome, that fairy tale syndrome, then you're not going to understand it. You're not going to want it. But if you grown, you passed that fairy tale syndrome, you passed, romance. I'm not saying that folk can't be romantic, but if you pass just the whole romantic sense of, unity, if you pass that, then you understand what I'm trying to say. You'll understand what I'm saying. But you have to be grown. You have to have a mature mindset to understand what I'm talking about. Anyways, let me know how y'all feel about this. It's your favorite cousin, Rich. Y'all be safe out there. Love and blessings.